Sue, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. How's everybody doing?
We're doing well, Olivia. Nice to
Great.
have you.
Okay, good. So basically what I want to
Yes.
do, we're going to be going over home ownership in America from other countries. I specialize in this. I'm going to be touching on the different touch points as far as budgeting is concerned, searching for the house, dealing with the realtor, dealing with the escrow company. So it's going to be A to Z, and I'm going to put everything in a nutshell for you. My information will be inside here so you can get all my information to reach out to me directly as well. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the steps in purchasing a home. The first thing you want to do is make the decision that I'm ready to stop renting and I'm ready to buy. You have to go into a budget. You actually look at the thing that you look at when you're buying a house. You're going to look at what is my debt and what is my current budget. How much can I afford to buy in a monthly payment when it comes to a house? So we look at all that. You get in contact with the loan officer, which would be me, and then we would actually get you involved and say, okay, this is your budget. This is how much you make. This is how much your mortgage can go up to. We'll never qualify you for more than you can actually afford. Okay. So once you determine what your budget is, I will give you a pre-approval and I'll tell you, okay, you can buy a house for 500,000. The payment is going to be $3,000 a month. And this is how you're going to make your payments. That's the first thing. Once you do the budget, that's when you get to shop for a real estate agent, somebody who is going to help you find the house that you want, somebody that's going to put you into the scenarios. Do you want a 4-bedroom? Do you want a 3-bedroom? Do you want it on the water? Do you want it in the city? Do you want it to be close to the metro areas? That's what the realtor is going to actually do for you to get you into a house that you want. Then once you start searching for the house, I love for my agent and myself to be on a group text message. You say, okay, I'm going to go look at 3 houses. I'll give you what the payment is going to be for each house so you know what you're getting into once you get into the actual house to see it. Then you go into, so the next slide is going to go into making an offer and negotiating, right? So making an offer and negotiating, getting actually into the house to get into a ratified contract, that is the great thing that your real estate agent is going to do. They're going to negotiate with the seller, tell them, okay, we want $6,000 for closing cost help. We don't want to pay 500. We only want to pay 450,000. That's when you will come to me as the mortgage coordinator and I will let you know, okay, this is what your new payment would be. This is what the taxes are on the property. This is how much the payment is going to be for 30 years. You come, then you make the offer. You actually get into a contract. You send that to me. You're going to be hearing from a wonderful lady. She owns a title company over here. I use her exclusively. She's awesome. She's going to let you know we give the ratified contract to the title company, which is the same thing as an escrow company in you all's case in Ghana, right? They look over the contract. They put everything in the contract. Okay, the contract says the seller is going to give me $10,000 for closing costs. The seller is going to pay half of the taxes. Everything that's in the contract is what is going to be going into the actual fee sheet, the title work, everything. Keep in mind, you throughout this process, you're going to get several emails from the lender, myself, which is the broker, and the lender telling you this is your mortgage payment, this is your disclosures. They're going to disclose to you at least 4 or 5 times. So when you do get to the escrow table, you know exactly what you're looking at. Then you can also, so once you say you find the house, you love the house, you put in your offer, we sent it to the title company, you're going to do an inspection with your real estate agent. You're going to go into the house, whether it's virtually with the, because if you're in Ghana and you're not here, we're going to set something up to where the home inspection can be done virtually. You can have a representative that's here. I can go with them. I can do a video call with you. We have an actual inspector that's licensed to go through every nook and cranny of the house to make sure the roof is good, to make sure the HVAC is good, to make sure there's no leaks, there's no plumbing leaks, that you have everything that you need inside the house that's going to be what we call turnkey. We want you to be able to go to closing, turn the key, move in the house, and that's it. not have to do any work at all. Once you all do the inspection, you come back to me, you say, Afia, everything went great. We love the house, the inspection was great. We're gonna go to finalize the mortgage, right? That is when everybody knows rates, everybody says rates are going up and stuff like that. Listen, rates are where they should be and where they're gonna probably maintain. That's when you come back to me, we say, okay, we're gonna lock the interest rate. Locking the interest rate means that 30 days, 45 days, however many days we decide to lock the interest rate, your rate is not going to change. Whether it goes up or down, your rate is going to stay the same, right? Then after we finalize the mortgage, we send you more disclosures to sign electronically. Once you sign them, we push the loan to processing. Then while you're in processing, we are going to tell you to look for homeowners insurance, which myself and the real estate agent can help you with. Homeowners insurance is to protect you. It's very important. Say, for instance, God forbid, a flood happened in the house. The homeowners insurance is going to be the one to pay for the damages and anything that you got that was damaged. If the house catches on fire, they'll pay for the house altogether. Then, and this is something that the title company, that the agent is going to go through with you as well, conducting a final walkthrough. It's very, very important. What did the house look like when you inspected it? Does it still look the same? Did they do the things, say for instance, the inspector told them to fix something? Did they fix those things? Is it up to your standards? Is it ready for you to walk in and live in that house with your family members? That is very, very important. Final walkthrough. Final walkthroughs usually happen the day of closing because I want my client to be very, very certain that this house is the way that it was promised to me. So the day of closing, you do the walkthrough. After that, this is the fun time. You come to the closing table. In this certain situation, the title company will explain to you, we can do a remote signing, right? So you can be in Ghana, you can be in Dubai, you can be in Turkey, wherever you are, and you can sign remotely. So you are signing, not necessarily a power of attorney is signing, you're the one that's actually going to be signing the paperwork. One thing that I would suggest, buying a house with the foreign national program, it's very important. So the way that it works is you find a house, you put down 25% of the purchase price, right? That's why we don't need your credit score. We don't need your income. All we need is a letter from your job, wherever it is in the world, saying this person works here and this is how long they work there. Then we're going to ask for 2 months of your bank statement to prove that you can afford the 25% down and any closing costs that the seller doesn't pay for you, right? That's all you need. A lot of people have myths that you can't buy a house over here because you don't have credit in America. You don't have a social security number. No problem. We suggest that you get an LLC. Once you get an LLC, the LLC will actually be what the house name is in. And they give you a TIN number. They give you an EIN number. That can be used in place of the actual social security. So it's very, very simple. It's very, very seamless. That's what happens when you do a foreign national loan. The only thing that you would have to send me is your bank statements, your passport showing your identification. And if you have an LLC, you would give me all of your articles of incorporation, and then we'll give that to the title company in order to go to closing. So in conclusion, basically buying a house from start to finish, if you are not doing it as a foreign national, obviously your income would come into play. But when you're doing it as a foreign national, it's very, very simple. It's very, very seamless. You get me all the documents that I need, and then we start the loan process. And you will be abreast about everything, every single step of the way. So if you all have, and I know I did everything really fast, but I wanted to know if you all have any questions for me. I'm open to questions before the title company comes on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Afia, for a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for just walking us through the process here. I want to open up the platform for any questions. If you have any questions, please just lift up your hand, and then we can go ahead and get Afia to answer any questions we have. But just to make it clear, one of the key things you mentioned earlier was that all we need is to just get a letter of verification from our employer, just stating that, yes, we've been working at a particular place for, a number of years.
Yes.
And the bank statements, the 2 months bank statements, is just to verify that funds are there to be able to make the down payment of 25% towards the property. Is there a particular time frame for which the funds have to be in the account? Should it be seasoned in the account for 60 days, 30 days, or they just want to see that funds are available?
That's a great question, Hannah. Thank you. So yes, we do want to see seasoning, at least 2 months of seasoning for the bank statements. So large deposits, they're not really concerned about, but as long as it's seasoned, sitting there for at least 2 months, then we're good to go.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions? You can also jot your questions in the chat area. Henry, if we can take the screen off, please, so that we can see if anybody has questions. One of the questions that I'm sure people may have is, what happens because of inflation? We are CD earners, and so today our monthly payment may be, let's say, 1,000 CDs, but how can we, for us here who have to change CDs, is there any sort of leeway that we get towards our monthly payments, or do you just go based on the Bank of Ghana rates, or what rates will determine what our mortgage payments are?
That's a great question. So the mortgage payments are going to be determined on the US dollar. So let's say your mortgage payments is $3,000. And I know my mom lives in Ghana, so when I send her money, it goes up and down, up and down. So whatever the equivalent of that $3,000 is what they would take out of your account. Unfortunately, they don't go by the currency, but whatever that equivalent is what would come out of your account. They can do it as a direct withdrawal, where they withdraw it directly out of your account every month. I do know a lot of people like to use their properties as Airbnbs and rental properties when they're not in the country. That same account, if you would like to, if you do rent your property, we put the money inside there as well. But everything would come out of the bank account that you will set up, and it's only American dollar though.
Okay, so it'll just be based on, whatever the rates are determined by the bank.
That's correct.
Great. I do have another question, but I'm going to let Mastermind, if you can please unmute yourself, Mastermind, introduce yourself and go ahead with your question.
Hello. Hi. Hannah,
Hi.
can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm
we
great.
can. Thank you for joining us.
Right. I'm Solomon. I'm Solomon from Ghana. That was a wonderful presentation. I love short presentations, straightforward. I mean, it wasn't boring at all. And I wish you can keep up with this. You get a lot of busy guys like us to listen to you. Yeah, because I was expecting a 30-minute to 45 to 1 hour presentation, but you made it very snappy and every information needed, was mentioned. Please thumbs up to that. Right. So my questions are very simple and straightforward question. Maybe I might have missed it. I don't know whether you made mention of that, but business people like us, I'm not an employee. I mean, I have a couple of businesses, and if I just want to buy a house outright, I don't need mortgage. I don't want to put myself in any debt. I just want to buy it outright. I'm in Ghana. Can you give me the variables involved? You didn't mention that. Maybe I might have missed though.
No, I didn't mention that. And that I love that type of borrower. Cash is king, right? So the way that it would work would be the same way, except you wouldn't need me. You would just need the title company, the real estate agent, but I would still facilitate. I'm a very, very hands-on person. And the fact that you're a business owner, I love that. That's all you need. Whatever proof you give in Ghana of your business, the same thing you can give to me. You don't have to work for somebody. You can work for yourself and still do it. So if you want to buy a house cash, number one, the agent is going to get you a great deal because cash versus mortgage, being able to close faster, get more money from the seller. It's absolutely imperative. If you want a cash price, there's no problem at all. You would just do it in cash and you don't need the mortgage, and the title company will still do all their due diligence to go through all of the paperwork to make sure that your deed and your title is clear. And that's it. It's very, very easy close. I've had a cash borrower from Egypt before, and I think it took like 2 weeks to close. He found the house. We looked at it with his relative that was here, and we video called them, and that was it. We closed within 2 weeks.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Right.
Yeah, thank you,
just
Solomon.
a quick follow-up, Hannah. A quick
Yes.
follow-up. So if you're so someone like me who has an American visa, even though I'm in Ghana, I mean, I have a multiple. I go in and out anytime I want. I want to find out if I choose to come over just to have a physical look. I mean, would that be best, or you think that is not necessarily, since you are there, you can rep me in that regard?
Either way, I would love to have you if you want to come to see the place. Once you see it, say you see it, the client in Egypt, he saw everything virtually, and then once he signed the contract, he wanted to come and do his own inspection. He came for like a week, he saw everything, went back, and we closed via DocuSign. So absolutely, if you want to come in, you can come in. That's not a problem at all. We would love to have you. But either way, I just want to let you know that I am there in case you can't, because you're a busy businessman. You may be somewhere else and you can't make it. I'm there to do it. But if you want to come, you're absolutely invited.
Thank you so much. I'm cool. So I think definitely we'll have your details, and then we'll keep up the conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. And also to just touch on that, as a self-employed individual or as a business, all they would need to provide is a bank statement and a letter from their business stating that they're owners, or registration documents. What documentation would they need, please?
So over here, we have like an LLC. So my company will have articles of incorporation that I got from the state of Maryland. So you can just bring that document showing that you're that's your business. And then in the articles of corporation here in Maryland, it'll have me as the contact for the business or the administrator of the business. So either one of those people, as long as we see that documentation, that will help us put it in the LLC's name if they want it in the business name, and make sure it's also in the client's name as well. So if we have those documents, whatever it is, the governing law in Ghana or whatever country they're in, we'll take that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And what about the loan terms? Are we looking at 15-year, 20-year? What's the maximum loan term? And is there an age limit? Because here in Ghana, the cutoff age is 60. So if you're 55, you can only get a maximum of 5 years. Is there an age limit in the US, and how many years can we expect?
30-year mortgages is what's common, 30-year fixed. You can do a 30-year, you can do a 7-1 ARM. Let's say the interest rates are high right now and you want a lower interest rate, you can go into an ARM where it adjusts after 7 years, but it's 30 years and it's illegal in America. You can buy a house when you're 80 and go into a 30-year mortgage. And the great thing about these loans, you can always will them to your family members as well. So there is no age limit on it at all, and it's usually a 30-year. I have a 40-year product as well, but I always say 30 years the best.
Right. Thank you. We have a question from Mr. Ishmael. He says, he asks, will buying a property in the US make it easier to travel to the US if it's my first time? If yes, please explain.
That's a great question, Ishmael. So I just had a client probably about 2 months ago, never been to America before, never got a visa. Once I turned the paperwork into him and he showed the embassy, he went there for a visitor's visa, I believe. They actually gave him a visa because they're seeing, okay, this guy is investing in America. So, and he's already invested in Ghana. So it did make it easier for him to actually get the visitor's visa. He actually got a visa for a year. He was able to come, stay, move into the house, go back. He met with our team. We got different renters for him. So it did make it a little bit easier to get into the country, believe it or not, because they're like, well, this guy's not joking. Like, he's going to buy a property in America, so he's going to have to come back and forth. So it made it easier.
Great. Another question. What are the mortgage rates now?
Good question. So with this, with the foreign national, it's a little bit different than a regular FHA, which is the government loan. So say, for instance, FHA rates are 7%, right? The foreign national rate would be probably 9%, 10%. A lot less than I know my colleagues in Ghana are charging for their mortgages. Yep. And I have different ways to manipulate the loan to where you can pay it off faster. So those are different secrets that I'll let people know, to my clients, when I do meet with them. But the rates are starting anywhere from 9% to 10% when it comes to the foreign national loan, only because it's a little bit more of a risk. So the higher the risk, the higher the rate. That's just with anything. So that's where they start off, but I've seen them go as low as 8.25.
Okay.
For the interest rate.
Good. That's good, because here in Ghana, we're looking at rates of 11 to 13%, and that's even on primary residences. So for an investment property, this is definitely a good rate. If anybody has any other questions, we can continue to take questions, but I would love for you to please introduce the title company, so that if we have any questions concerning titles, we can also address those.
And Henry, so Kim is the best. When I tell you, and I'm not just saying it because she's on the phone, I've done closings with her. She makes her actual staff is spot on when it comes to everything with title. I've been working with her for the past 15 years, and she is the person that will actually make sure that everything comes together and everything is great. So Kim, you can take the floor.
Am I on? Am I on?
Yes.
Can you see me? Okay, great.
Hello,
perfect. Hi, everyone. So everybody can see me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right. So welcome. And Afia, thank you so much. And Afia's right. Afia, I cannot believe that it has been 15 years.
I know.
That means that I am 15 years older. Okay. But anyway, that's great. So that lets you guys know that you all know, and welcome to all who are abroad, that I have been in this business for a long time. And we are a very small local owned title company. So there are big title companies, just like there are large companies. And then there are small companies. We're a small company, and I have always wanted to keep it that way because, as Afia said, I like to make people feel comfortable. I want people to feel that they are our friends and family, because that is my goal. That is one of my missions, is to do that. So I hope that even though you are all abroad, that you would feel that way. I just also would like you to know that I do business abroad with a lot of different people. So this is not a new concept for us. This is something that we have been working on for several years. And we are always looking to be better, but we feel that we are doing well. So, okay, so let me start. What does a title company do? Do they call it just something different in Ghana? Do they? What do they call the closing company over there?
So here in Ghana, we call it escrow services.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Escrow services. Okay, great. All right. So escrow services title company, I'm going to use those two terms simultaneously. So we, as the title company, we actually never, unlike the realtor and sometimes the lender, Afia, we actually never physically go to your property. It's our job your property has a history. Just like if you buy a used vehicle, you want to find out what is going on with what has gone on with that vehicle and how has it been in accidents. Well, we do the same thing for your property. Your property has a history. And we want to make sure that the history of your property is clear before we convey it to you, the new owner. So we actually do a 50 to 60-year search in the court records. And that comes back. If there's anything that is not released, that is open, that needs to be paid, or if it didn't get transferred property, that is our job to do that. And honestly, if we cannot issue clear title for you, then we let you know that too. We don't want anything. We don't want you to own a property to come back later and say, oh, well, Kim, why didn't you tell me that? That's not our desire at all. So that's the first thing that we do. Then we see if there are any open loans that need to be paid off, any liens that need to be paid off, any open citations, and we take care of that. So we work with not only you, the buyer, but we work with the seller as well, getting those things. We coordinate the closing. We issue something called title insurance, and title insurance is something that protects you on the history of the property. It's something you only purchase once. The lender requires a policy called a lender's policy that you do pay for, but that only protects them. You want something called an owner's policy that protects you on the history of the property. So that is something else that we do. So we go ahead. So let me fast forward. We gather documents from the seller, and I'm going to talk about you guys, the buyer. So what we would need is, if you do have an LLC, we would need your articles of organization. We would need your operating agreement. And what that tells us is who can sign for this property, your tax ID number, and what your mailing address you would like to be. So is your mailing address for the property going to be, are you going to have a resident agent that any correspondence gets sent to? That's something that we can visit later, but they're all things that you want to think about, because you don't want, if the county that you're purchasing in is trying to contact you, you want to make sure that you're getting that correspondence. So we have that also. So we'll gather all those documents from you. Again, the one gentleman asked, can I come in and sign? Absolutely. We would love to meet you. It would be our pleasure, but that's not a necessity. If you're paying cash, we can do DocuSign. If you have a loan, we have, it's something called RON, Remote Online Notary. I have a gal that's wonderful. She's doing a settlement for me right now. Her name is Lisa. She can contact with you on your time zone, and she would do, it's just like being in person. She does, she authenticates your documents, and she can do all of that. And the different counties and cities in Maryland are taking those right now. So it's not a problem whatsoever. We'll try to make this as seamless for you as possible. If we want to correspond, I actually do use WhatsApp. I can give you that number if that's something that you need. And we also do via email. So we're good with all of those. So we may just need to communicate with you via email. Again, WhatsApp works for me. So we gather all this information. We gather everything from the seller that we need. We gather everything from you, the buyer. Then it comes the date of closing. Afia lets us know, okay, today's the day. She emails the title company the documents, and usually it is a substantial amount of documents that you're going to go through. But with a remote notary, or it's really a seamless process. So you will go ahead and sign those. You will send in any money that you are sending in. I want to back up something I forgot to say, the earnest money deposit. You also hear people call an EMD, earnest money deposit. That will get wired to the title company. I can provide you our wiring instructions, and you can wire that in. I do not take Venmo or Zelle or any of those things. It has to be a legitimate domestic wire. So we'll do that. If you're bringing any money to closing, you would send it to us at that time also. And those amounts would be given to you by Afia. But I can always, coordinate with you as well to work that out. So all the paperwork will be signed. The seller's paperwork will be signed. It'll be reviewed. Your paperwork will be signed and reviewed by not only us, but your lender. And then at that point, we get what we call funding for that loan. The lender sends their loan money. The seller has already signed, they give us the keys or however that transacts, and you are the current owner of the property. And then at that point, we send it to land records to be recorded in public records so that you are the owner of record and you're off to and running, whether you're going to use it as an Airbnb, as an investment, or a second home. You will be off and running at that point. So I'm sure I've missed 100 things, but that's the basics of what we as a title company do and are here to help you. So I will go to Afia. Is there anything else that you can think of that you wanted me to touch on?
I think you've touched on everything. That's the main gist of what you would do. The main thing is knowing that it's free and clear, that it's their house. It's not going to have somebody else from 20 years ago. They got divorced and their such and such is on the deed. That's the great thing about the title company, to make sure that all that's taken care of.
Yeah. So,
Wonderful.
and I just want to say, I'm simplifying this. It is a really technical process and there are a lot of steps to go through, but you don't really need to worry about those as the buyer. That's why you hire trusted individuals to handle your business for you. So, and again, no question is too small. I don't mind answering your questions, whether it be through myself or Afia. We're happy. We want full transparency. We want you to feel comfortable and at peace with this decision. And I think purchasing real estate is always the best investment that you will ever make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your presentation, Kim. We do have some questions here for you.
Okay.
One of the questions is, here in Ghana, a lot of the properties are, well, right now from the Land Act in 2020, all properties are leasehold. Can you touch on that in the United States? Is this a leasehold or is it a freehold property?
Okay, yes, that's a great question. And it really depends on so Maryland, the state of Maryland is broken down into counties.
Okay.
Very few counties in Maryland have leasehold / ground rent properties. But the good news is, if you do, it can always be redeemed if you want to do that. Always it can be redeemed. And that would be, there's a price for that, but it's not super expensive. But I would say 85%, maybe higher than that, are fee simple, what we call the ground is owned, the land is owned by you. But even if it is leasehold, even if the ground rent holder is not registered in the state of Maryland, it can still be redeemed through the state. And that is a process that we can absolutely help you with. So because some lenders are shy about lending money on leasehold properties, but that's not a problem. That won't be a problem for Afia. And we can actually redeem the ground rent simultaneously during the closing process, if that's something you want to do. So
great.
That will conclude.
If you can please clarify, so what happens here with the leasehold is that we get 50 years, but there is a clause in the title documents that says that after 50 years, there is an automatic renewal for, the family. So when you say redeemed, is it the same thing? Can you clarify that?
Yes, of course. So thank you. So of course, I'm talking in title technology terms, which I'm sorry, I want to speak to everyone so they understand. Okay, so it's the same thing in Maryland. I think it's 100 years, but there is a law here that says that if you want to redeem the property, no matter who owns it. So there was a time period when ground rent holders, if they owned the ground rent, they had to register it with the state of Maryland. Okay. If they did not, it's not registered. Whether it is registered or not registered, the person purchasing the property or who owns the property can redeem it. That is the law. So they can't just keep it from you for 50 or 100 years. If you choose not to, then it will be renewable. But if not, you can always redeem your ground rent in Maryland. Some ground rents are trickier than others, but it can always be redeemed.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thank you. Another question here. What is the time frame for the turnaround time for you to make sure that the title is free and clear?
Okay, that is a somewhat loaded question, but it depends. Sometimes it is as easy literally as a week or two. It's that simple.
Okay.
Some properties are more complicated, and that's why I say once you start to dig, it's like a digging expedition. Once you start to dig into what it is, you find out, because sometimes mistakes are made like 2 owners back, and they're the things we try to figure out. I would say typically 2 to 3 weeks total from start to finish. Now, if you're paying cash, I would say 2 to 3 weeks. If there's a lender, it's probably going to be a little bit longer. But no, it's again, and we can let you know if there's a problem. So what happens is we as Afia stated, we open the property, we open a file for it, we order title. If there are any other lien sheets or anything that are subject to that county, we do that. So usually we just are a little bit on the waiting. Then we do a title curative process where we go through and we go back in the search and make sure it's okay. If there's a problem and it looks like we're not going to be able to close it for some reason, we let everyone know as soon as we know. Okay. If there are problems, we go back to the seller because they're the ones that we work with them to get these problems cleared up.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So yeah, I don't know what Afia's time frame is, but ours is 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. We do have another question here. And if you have any other questions, please drop it in the comment section. We'll be wrapping up in about 2 minutes. We'll be ending right at 5 p.m. The other question, I think this question has been answered, but someone has a question. Ishmael, can I give my property for rent while I'm still paying for the mortgage? Yes, Afia mentioned you can use it as Airbnb or a second home. So the answer to that is yes. Afia has put her contact information, website information on the chat section. So please make sure you jot that down. Kim, if you could also please put your information in the chat. And the participants, if you guys can please send us your email address and names, phone numbers, we'll make sure that both Afia and Kim get that as well. Do we have any final questions, or Afia, do you have anything else, or Kim, anything else you want to say? We're just wrapping up now.
I think I'm good. The real estate agent, you know how agents are so busy. He's in a closing right now. So I'll put his information in the system as well. But please reach out to me. I'm very accessible on WhatsApp, and I do respond, and Kim will do the same as well.
Yep, I sure will. I'm actually typing in my WhatsApp number right now. If you could just identify yourself and tell me who you are when you do that, then I can let you, hey, I saw you on this, blah, blah, blah. So I know. So absolutely.
All right. So last question here is, where do we find these properties? I think the real estate agent that was supposed to be joining us would have given us that information, but if you can please touch on that on his behalf.
Yes. So he will actually email you the properties and you can see them online. So when you give him the description that you want, he will put that in the system, and then he will shoot you a whole bunch of properties that will go to you automatically, and it'll go directly to your email.
Okay, wonderful. Any final questions? We have a minute left. And and then a final phrase from Kim as we are wrapping up today.
100%. It's time to buy in America. People are making a lot of money over here. I also flip houses as well. So if you're interested in that, we can do that. But we have to start buying in America the same way we're going to come buy in Ghana. That's all I have.
Thank you. And Miss Kim.
Yes. So anyway, so thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules today to talk with us. Anyway, personally, obviously, this is my business. I think it is the best investment that you will make. It is the same wisdom that I've given to my own children, my own adult children. The first thing you want to do is buy a house. So it's always a good investment, even when times are tough. You really do not. It's just the best investment to make. And we would absolutely be honored to be part of your process if you choose to do that. So I put my WhatsApp number in there. I know Afia has hers, and thank you. You all have a great weekend too.
Thank you. Thank you very much, both Efia and Kim, for wonderful presentations and enlightening us on how we can become international investors and cross the borders of Ghana and begin to invest in the United States. It's all about buying a home beyond a home, buying a home for profit, and building generational wealth through home ownership, one house at a time. Thank you all for joining us today. And make sure you jot down all your contact information so we can send the list of names over to Efia and Kim, and then they can assist you from there. Thank you all very much and have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
Great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.